What's going on, everyone? Juicebags here, and welcome back to the channel. When it comes to doing Chaos 9, there really is one main problem that anyone struggling with the tier is starting to run into. And that is the mobs that trickle through. Like, no matter what your defense is set up, there's always a good chance there's going to be berserkers or the wyverns that are pushing through your build. These mobs, of course, are the mobs that are becoming the problem, or are the problem to deal with in Chaos 9. Now, we've got one particular mod in the game which perfectly answers this problem. Now, although this mod previously, the benefit that helps us in Chaos 9 was hurting us prior to that, now in Chaos 9, with all of the extreme power that is available to us, it is actually a huge help. And of course, I am talking about the Embermount flames. Enemies catch on fire after getting hit by the Fissure of Embermount, receiving the same damage over time. Now, all AoE defenses in Dungeon Defenders 2 actually have a 10 target limit. They don't hit an unlimited amount of targets. And previously, this was the issue with Embermount flames, as enemies would get dotted up, and as they were running through the lane, you would exceed that 10 target limit, and then the Fissure would not do any damage. Now, however, the bulk of the lane is being burned up in Chaos 9. However, those few mobs, like the berserkers and the elder wyverns, are the mobs that are pushing through the build. Now, this answers another problem in Chaos 9, and that is the 180 DU goal. Of course, lots of maps have more DU available. However, 180 DU on a build will answer every lane in the game. And we got quite a few options. So we're here on my favorite tester map, the Forest Biome. We are not going to use all this DU that's available in this one. We are going to stick to 180 DU per lane. But I wanted to show off the Fissure because not only is this a super fun tester map, but it also has one of the things that work best with the Fissure, and that is long lanes. If we take a look at the mod again, at 9 out of 10 Chaos 8, enemies catch on fire for 69.5 seconds. Another one of the big benefits here is it doesn't have to be a 10 out of 10 mod. If we take a look at the mod itself, it's going to go from 55 seconds at 1 of 10 to 80 seconds at 10 of 10 at Chaos 8. Now, 55 seconds is more than enough time, so even a 1 out of 10 mod is going to be just as powerful and able to get the job done as a higher tier mod. Now, of course, for vanity's sake, we want 10s on everything. However, it is just not required. So let's take a look at a few different build options. First things first, the build that I am using probably the most personally is 2 Fissures and oil geyser in the middle with that destructive pylon on it, of course. And then going with a boost aura and a buff beam. This gives the Fissures a ton of power and allows that dot to just continue to tick. As you look, that's only 160 DU spent. Now, say you don't have the EV or you just don't have your buff beam set up, you can always pull that buff beam off and just add in one more Fissure of Embermount right at the back side. That's 150 DU. Actually, you could take that one step further and space these out better and go with 4. So, I mean, that right there would be absolutely beast mode. Now, you would want to space this out better, of course, so that everything is getting destructive pylon. That right there is 180 DU. Now, if we go ahead and go back to what I had originally set up, we're going to throw our buff beam back here. Now, we do have flyers here on the outside lane, so I am going to just throw down a sky guard here just to help deal with the flyers. Do I want 2 of them? One of them should be fine. So we'll throw a sky guard down there for that. And let's head on over here to the center lane now and see if we can't get the same thing built. Now, want to make sure, of course, that we're leaving a little room on the outside to throw our buff beam down, but we're going to go with our 2 Fissures. We're going to get the oil geyser in. The boost aura, maybe. There we go, the boost aura. And then, of course, our buff beam. And here, I didn't leave the room that I discussed. Let's see, we'll cross them. something like that, and that should still get both of those buffed. And then rinse and repeat over here. Exact same build. So we're going to come all the way down on this one. Let's go something like that. Now, I am putting these as close to spawn as possible. Actually, this one I could have moved a little bit closer. And the reason being, of course, is you want the Fissure time to burn. You want to give it time to get the job done. So there's going to be enemies that are pushing right through the build, but they're going to have that big Embermount flames dot on them that is, in turn, just going to keep ticking as they run down the lane. Let's go ahead and get a Skyguard in there as well. And then we'll get right on uppity in this lane. Let's go something like this. We'll get our boost star down. We'll get our buff beam down. And let's see, what else do we want to do? I think that is about it. Now, taking a look through, of course, I'm doing the double stack, destruction and mass destruction. I've got Vampiric on there as a third. You could always throw Deadly Strikes on there if you wanted to, as you're not getting much value out of Vampiric without having any defense health for the Fissure in your Ascension. So going with Vamp on that one. Additionally, the Oil Geyser, as I mentioned, has got Destructive Pylon on it. The Boost Star, I've got my second Mass Destruction on it. And then on our Buff Beam, just going with Destruction, Boosted Beam, and Vamp. Now, as you see, we've only spent 740 DU. We got a ton of DU left, but we're not going to use it as we want to check this out. So let's go ahead and watch this lane burn here and see exactly what kind of power we get out of it. Now, we see that Elder Wyvern right out in front. We got the Oil Geyser on, so the enemies are ignited now, getting the bonus damage from the Ignite combo. The Elder Wyvern has pushed through and died to the dot from the Fissure. Now, once again, the benefit here is it's just so few enemies. It's these Berserker Lady Orcs that are getting pushing through, and the Elder Wyverns, and that's really the only thing pushing through the entire pack. Taking a look here at the other lanes, every lane is going to be exactly the same. The Wyverns, looks like we got a Warboar that almost made it there on that lane. So there will be enemies that push through, and that is where the Embermount Flames really, really shines. Looks like our Skyguards may end up needing a little love here. Taking a look at the minimap, you see the dots. You know, the dots that are pushing past the line of defenses, and they're just disappearing. What we can do here on these Skyguards is just, let's get, do I have my other Destructive Pylon here? I do. Let's just throw a Destructive Pylon on those, and then throw a couple of upgrades in, and that should address this flyer issue here. Do the same thing over here, and now we want to go through and get some upgrades in, of course. Where Chaos 9 is really all about surviving the first wave, we definitely want to get those upgrades in now that we are past the first wave. Now, depending on your level of power, you may not need those upgrades. However, most players are going to want to definitely spend their mana and get the upgrades in. Now, we all know that the very first lane over here is the boss lane. So since I'm going to try to just let this run and not directly intervene with anything unless it's a Siege Roller or a Drakenlord, I am going to put the majority of upgrades into this lane. So let's go ahead and let it fly again here. We will watch what happens when a boss comes out now. Now, of course, that we've got some upgrades in, those Wyverns and the Berserkers are going to be dying a little bit quicker. So you see the Wyverns didn't actually make it all the way out of the Fissure that time. I'm going to come up here where we can get a little better view. And yeah, it's just so powerful. It really directly meets the need of Chaos 9. Makes it a very, very strong build. Now, of course, the downside of the Fissure versus a Flame Aura is it doesn't hit flyers. But that's the other beauty of it. We're spending so little DU, we could always throw a Flame Aura into the lane itself. Okay, now here comes Gribbs. Let's see how Gribbs does. We may have to get a little intervention here on Gribbs, but let's check it out. He made it through. He is burning. And let's see. I don't want my pet to kill him. Let me back it up just a little bit there. And there we go. An even Griblock. the burn just kept going. So even at 1 out of 10, it's a super, super powerful mod. But let's go ahead and jump on forward to wave number 5 and see how it performs versus the bosses in the final wave. And here we go into wave number 5. Now I went on and gave myself a little bit of an assassin trap here so we could actually watch what's going on. So I got a proton beam here to remove it and a flame aura to kill the assassins. That way we don't have any interruptions here. But let's go ahead and check it out on the boss lanes. What do we have? We've got a Skelly and an Ogre. So we've got the perfect bosses there. We got a Quibs over in that lane. Let's watch it go in wave number 5 here. Now, we've got full upgrades in now. All of those fissures on this lane are fully upped and really dishing out the pain. So now we see everything is just dying off directly inside of the setup. Now, of course, getting that bonus damage from the Ignite combo, that's combining oil and fire, of course, is just adding to the entire mix. So good stuff there. Let's continue to let it fly here, and as you see, we are just burning them up. So excited to see what happens with the bosses here in wave 5. Assuming they're just going to get burned right up, but we will find out. Let's get rid of these assassins real quick, as they're just going to be irritating. Okay, here comes Ogre number 1 and our Skelly. We got a Plaguing Hawk here. You see Quibbly is getting burned up on that second lane over. We better give a little bit of love to Quibs. No, let's not. Let's just let him go. And I actually almost missed everything over here because I went over to distract Quibbly there. But as you see, the bosses just got annihilated. Even at just 1 of 10, that's an excessive amount of time. I mean, could you imagine at 1 out of 10, what did I say it was, 50 seconds? Let's take a peek here. Yeah, it's 55 seconds at 1 out of 10. So could you imagine just enemies standing here for 55 seconds in the middle of the fissure? Well, that's basically the same effect they're getting as they run down the lane. Now, of course, the question is, you know, we saw Quibs made it all the way to here. Do you have enough lane for that to tick away is really the only question. But big maps like this one, maps like Embermount with the super long lanes, it's just going to be a huge win for you in Chaos 9. But that will do it for this episode. Thanks an absolute ton for watching, and I will see you soon. Take it easy.